Welcome, everybody. My name's Bobby Hackett. I'm Scott's partner in this project. He's the expert. I'm tech support. And now 6 years into this, we're close friends. This is the fourth time we've done this. And it's once a semester, getting a chance for students to share what their campaigns were all about and for new folks to get a feel for what students are up to. And then to just get a sense that we're part of something larger. Scott and I will take turns moderating. I've included a photo of Scott on his campus in front of this important statue, which he might tell you a little bit about. Scott's retiring from his full-time teaching at San Jose State University. Literally today was the last class. And in honor of that, I thought we would add this extra photo. Scott, why don't you go ahead and then we'll go from there.
So I'm Scott Myers-Lipton. I've been a professor at San Jose State for 24 years, a long time. And as I tell my students, 24 years at any one job is enough. So I'm going to be working full-time on a couple projects, but this one in particular on teaching social action. And I'm thrilled that you're all here. I've been teaching social action for maybe 17 years now. And after about 7 years, I decided to write that first book, maybe 10 years in, I decided to write that first book called Change, A Guide to Social Action. Then I wrote the faculty book. And then Bobby and I got together 6 years ago to say, how can we take this nationwide? So that really with the vision of every college student on every college campus in the United States would have an opportunity, not just to talk about action, but actually do it, to actually have the chance to, try to enact a policy idea that they have on the campus or community. So you're all involved in that process. So super excited. Some are students who've just gone through it, and some are faculty who are about to start teaching or at least go through the institute to learn what our model is. So super excited to have everyone here and really a chance to hear from the experts now who are the students who've actually have had the chance to go through a transformative educational experience and really to learn from them. Because as we know, we're co-facilitators in this process of social action, that we as faculty and staff have something to teach, but the students have a great deal to teach us. And so we're here to learn from them today and then to ask them questions of their learning experience. So welcome everybody. And I'll turn it back to Bobby, and really excited to hear about the campaigns that have gone on this semester.
Awesome. We're just going to go through all the campaigns, and then I'll turn it over to Scott, who will interview the students, get some of their comments about their experience and how it's impacted them. And then we'll open up to Q&A. Since we have a bunch of new folks here, we thought we would be a good opportunity for them to also ask questions, either of the faculty in the room who've been teaching the classes or the students. So with that, who here is going to be ready to talk about Students Against Sweeps, which is a San Jose State team?
I can go ahead and speak on that. Hi all, my name's Angela. I'm a member of Students Against Sweeps. So we are a student-led campaign at San Jose State. We started in Scott Myers-Lipton's social action class. So far, we've done a couple of campaigns, the first being a rally to commemorate the deaths of unhoused people so far this year, which today the count is 69. And then recently, we partnered with Students for Fair Housing. We did a rally against the mayor's decisions on Measure E, which is funding towards affordable housing that he's kind of, it's up for debate about whether it's going to go toward affordable housing or not. But really, Students Against Sweeps is really our goal is to end the sweeping of homeless encampments in San Jose. And so that's what we demand.
Wonderful. Let me just add a couple things. When we have a poster or flyer, we put that up on the screen. And if there's been articles written, and there's sometimes more than one article or videos, we at least put one of them up there if we have one. When you go there, you can click this open button, and that'll take you right to the article. And you can read more about the campaign and what happened there. Sometimes there's some extra photographs. And in a couple of cases, we actually had the written out demands as well.
Bobby, since there's a little bit of time for the faculty, notice the background of that first image with literally of a tombstone, because every time you want to go for the front of the press, you want to have something visual, and the students did an unbelievable job creating these or using these tombstones that had the names of the people and the age of the person that passed away in our city this year.
Thank you. Okay, so the next campaign,
I'm Cole from Students for Police Accountability. We are working together with a nonprofit pact on increasing the authority of the San Jose Independent Police Auditor. So yeah, our campaign has really been targeting police misconduct, as there's been a strong history of strong community oversight of the police, especially in the Bay Area and as multiple cities around the country. The independent police auditor serves a crucial role in assessing police misconduct and making sure officers are held accountable for their mistreatment against civilians. Originally founded in 1993, to audit the police internal affairs investigations, the IPA currently still lacks the authority in San Jose to conduct its own investigations. So we've been fighting with students and our nonprofit and other coalition forces in the Bay Area to get more accountability towards our police department and to make sure that they're actually listening to, the community. This process has been pretty challenging, as the police are they have mass amounts of influence, not only economically, but politically. And there's a really big narrative around them. So it's been a really challenging campaign, but together with Scott Meyer's help and just other students, like-minded students, we've been able to come together on multiple occasions and really demonstrate our power as students and our voice. And I think we've had a really big impact, especially on our city council members, who we've taken the fight firsthand to, and been in their office and been on Zoom calls with them and been at their meetings. So it's been a really informative process, and we've gained a lot of knowledge about how power operates.
thanks very much. The next group is Students for Filipino Farm Workers.
Hello, everyone. My name is Geraldine Palacios. I'm a student here at San Jose State University, representing the Students for Filipino Farm Workers. So here on campus, there's an arc dedicated to farm workers, and it's called the Arc of Dignity, Equality, and Justice. But on there's no mention of the Filipino farm workers. It commemorates people like Cesar Chavez, Dolores Huerta, and other Mexican leaders during the farm worker movement, but nothing for recognizing the Filipino farm workers who contribute to the United Farm Worker movement as well. Our demand right now is towards the the university president, Cynthia Teniente Matson. We're demanding $100,000 to install an art installation next to the Arc of Dignity, Equality, and Justice. So far, we've had a rally from support from our community, from other community organizations and students. We also have a meeting coming up on Monday to talk to the president herself. So if you want to stay updated with us, you can follow our Instagram. That's on our flyer. So far, the process has been really great. A lot of people have really been in support with us. We've been able to even go to the Chavez house and speak to members there on it was the 30th anniversary of his death just a few weeks ago. So we were able to discuss there. We had a lot of great support from the community. And yeah, it's been a very, very powerful campaign so far. We're getting a lot of support, and you can see our articles there about our rally. And we'll probably have one up soon for our meeting that's coming up with the campus president.
Thank you very much. Okay, Students Against Mass Incarceration.
Hello, my name is Alina. I'll be talking for Sammy today. So with Sammy, we're Students Against Mass Incarceration. We just held our rally in front of San Jose City Hall just last week. It went really, really great. We had a lot of news that came and broadcasted it. So essentially what our original goal was to stop Santa Clara County from continuing their plan to build a $747 million jail in San Jose. Instead of building a new jail, what we wanted to do was to get that money and put it towards reentry services and mental health services. We also wanted to do something called 988, which essentially, instead of calling 911 for someone that's having an emergency, you would call 988 for someone having like a mental emergency, because police are known to not understand how to take care of people with mental health illnesses. So they would know what to do in that. And just a few days before we had our rally, it was so amazing that actually the Santa Clara County budget came out and said they will not be continuing with the jail for at least 2025 or later. So that was a huge win for us. So what was really, really amazing. This, of course, means that the jail can still be built. It's just pushed off. So we're hoping to not only push it off, but to keep it off and it not be built.
Wonderful. One more from this one class that Scott taught. There were 5 campaigns in this one class. Students for Fair Housing.
Maybe not here.
Okay. So that's that campaign. And then there was a second class at San Jose State this semester. And I think there were 2 campaigns there. Students Fix Joe West.
Hello, my name is Mariana, and I'm part of the Activism in Action class with Lucas Haddon. And our campaign is Students Fixing Joe West. And we came up with this because we had a person in our group who lives in Joe West and is an RA, a resident assistant. And they were basically telling us that the path to Joe West was very unsafe, and there was no light, and it was like a gravel path. And sometimes the elevators don't work, and the students have to go down like these steep stairs. And we're like, yeah, no, that's not okay. So we decided to make our demands in order to make a paved path to the laundry room, add a tower card gate, add lighting, and add cameras just to make it more safe and accessible. We had a lot of students when we were tabling come up to us and tell us their stories of like near-death experiences or some like sketchy things going on around there. We're like, yeah, and like, no. And then when we kicked off our campaign, the Spartan Daily came, and it was a great way for us to kick it off because we were able to share through social media. So that was really cool. And basically, we have a meeting with Timothy Gridley, who is the director of the maintenance and infrastructure projects, and we might make this happen. So it's exciting to see all the change that we have made, and hopefully it all goes well, and we'll be able to create a safe and accessible path for all the students living there, because for the amount you're paying, you should at least be able to do laundry safely. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Perfect timing, and probably one of the best headlines of a protest I've seen in a long time. Protest bubbles over Joe West laundry rooms. Thank you very much. And now, safer parking.
I can talk about it. Basically, our demands were to get some additional security cameras in the garage, in all of the garages at San Jose State, because they're only in the stairwell. We wanted to get some more security surveillance because once we talked to our target, they let us know that they don't really have the funding to actually watch the surveillance cameras. And then as a result, we wanted a clear breakdown of the budget and resources. You know, why are we spending so much money and tuition and parking passes and daily parking if there isn't even cameras and there's no one watching the cameras if an accident or something does happen? A lot of we had a fairly big group. It was about 12 people or so, and a lot of us had negative experiences in the garage, whether our car getting broken into, someone doing a hit and run, generally feeling unsafe when they're taking night classes. So those were our demands. You know, we met with the police chief for San Jose State, and you know, he cared a little bit, but didn't care as much as we'd hope. But once we actually did our action day on campus, we got a lot of support from everyone. We tabled, we handed out candy, water. That really got people over here. And then once they heard what we wanted, pretty much everyone supported it and felt as if, you know, we should have safer parking, especially since it's so expensive. I think it's like a little over $200 a month for no safety. So hopefully in the future, we can continue to raise awareness and continue to work with the police at San Jose State to just try and see if we can maybe do something with the budget, see if we can maybe get a little bit more money for at least to get some more security cameras, and to see if we can have the budget to have people survey them.
Thanks very much. One thing I want to point out, campaigns continue in at least one of 2 ways. One is that students form a student group at San Jose State, and that student organization can continue. And the other is that the students in a follow-on class can pick up a prior campaign. Take your campaign notebook, and that's their starting point to continue the campaign. So these campaigns often don't get won in one semester, so you really have to go to the next semester to win them. I'm going to switch over now to Maryville College. And the first campaign, Students for LGBTQ plus inclusivity.
My name is Sarah Bachnight, and I'm a member of SLI, Students for LGBTQ plus Inclusivity. Maryville College is in Tennessee, so any queer topics are very charged, as they are in many states in the South. So this is important statewide, but also specifically, there are a few issues with inclusivity on campus that we wanted to talk about. So our two demands, the first one deals with the registrar's office and official name changes, things like getting a new ID, getting a new email, how your name shows up on ResLife lists. You can only change your name once officially to get those things changed. We didn't see how that played into inclusivity, and we also didn't understand why that was necessary. So we got in contact with the registrar's office, and honestly, not much came from it on their end. They were reluctant. But what we ended up doing, because our class ended about 2 weeks ago, is one of the things that happened this semester, because it was spring that we did this, was the SGA president and vice president elections. So one of the candidates mentioned on their social media that they were planning to talk about the registrar's office name change policy, and we offered to partner with them. They decided not to take up our expertise and knowledge on the topic, but we also offered to partner with other campaigns who were running for the same position, and it ended up being that one of the campaigns we partnered with won. So they have picked up that topic and will put it into their legislation agenda for the upcoming school year. Our second demand was that we have better professor training and that professors encourage students to share their pronouns if they have to introduce themselves in class. We got a lot of support for both of these initiatives, but specifically the first one that I mentioned was probably more extensive. However, we have a contact in the Center for Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion who plans to do a workshop so that queer students can tell her what they want added to professor training, and she can give that professor training with students' input. So that will also be happening in the upcoming semester.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. There were 2 articles on this class, and Sarah wrote both of them with the school paper. All right, here's the second campaign from Maryville, raising opioid awareness reliably.
That's me. So we were, like you said, raising opioid awareness reliably. Our group, we originally started with 2 demands. We were really wanting to raise awareness on the opioid epidemic in the Appalachian region, as it heavily affects the region. And so we started out with 2 demands: that there's Narcan available on campus for the resident halls or the security team. That was our first one. Our second one was that we hoped there was anonymous addiction therapy for the counseling center. But throughout the semester, we decided about just getting Narcan on campus for the security team. That we felt like that would be a bigger issue and just a bigger goal for us. So our target for this demand was our director of security. He turned out to be a really great ally during it, because he had already planned on joining it and planned on getting Narcan for his team. And so throughout the whole process, we met with Beware Blunt. As you see in that picture, we're tabling with them. And so they were a great ally throughout the whole thing. They're the ones supplying the Narcan. And they were just really great for us, as they gave us a lot of information that we used. They helped us table. They were really just great support for us.
Thank you very much. And I should point out here that Eli gave us the PowerPoint. It looks like his final presentation, he and his team. Again, you can go down here in the bottom, hit open, and you can see that file. And is there a team members from Informing Scots on Recycling on campus?
That would be me, Isabella.
Great.
All right, so my name's Isabella Carroll. I'm part of 5 members of SRA, Scots for Recycling Awareness. So our 2 main demands for this campaign were hand in hand, just to make recycling much more available, not only easier, but also more exciting on campus, because people did recycle, but it wasn't really something that people got excited about. And so luckily in this semester, Dr. Jay Clark, he's our head of sustainability on campus. He was already arranging for a brand new recycling program to be rolled out by April. So we pretty much allied up with him and went, and he did the technical stuff, got the bins, got the funding, and we were student support. So those were our main goals, was to get the bins and then have signage to go along with them, because a lot of students didn't know how to recycle, what was recycled. So get signs, and then also for the college to provide funding for the materials. So that picture right there is me and my teammates. We were doing a tabling event during Earth Week, which is a pretty big deal at Maryville College. We had a day set up with a bunch of other activities. So we were informing people, doing trivia, all that fun stuff, handing out incentives for people if they knew what the recycling trivia answers were. And then we also did a couple target meetings with Dr. Clark, and he gave us direction on what to do. And then to the left is the new recycling bin. A lot of funding went into them. They had a pretty good turnout. So now they went from being in just a couple of buildings to all around campus. So
Fantastic. Thank you very much. Now I'm going to move over to Guilford College. We've got a couple campaigns here. Guilford has a 3-week block course at the beginning of the fall semester and the end of the second semester, the spring. So these campaigns were all part of a 3-week block. This is Quaker Produce, Better Food for Better World. Oh, I'm sorry, Better Mood.
Hi, I'm August. I use he, him pronouns. And like you said, we had a 3-week course. So it was very fast paced on trying to get our demands and targets and meetings. So the background with our campaign, Quaker Produce, we're trying to address the food apartheid on campus because our dining hours are unsustainable for students and staff. Dinner closes at 7:30 p.m. on weekdays and 6:30 on weekends. So athletes and students who are studying late don't really have time to go to dinner or sometimes miss breakfast, lunch, and dinner all in a day. And we also have the grill, which closes at 10 p.m. after the cafeteria closes. But the grill has unhealthy food like chicken tenders or cheeseburgers. And there's really no 24/7 hour option in regards to healthy food or like a grocery store if people need like snacks after studying late. And all the vending machines have like chips and unhealthy food. So we paired and partnered with the pantry on campus called the Quaker Cupboard, and our demands were partnering with the Guilford College Farm to deliver a box of bi-weekly produce like radishes or beets or carrots and store them in the fridge. And the second demand was pairing with the head of Meriwether Gotzi, who's our catering company on campus, to help with food reclamation and donate any unused food to the cupboard so students can like get salad mix or quinoa mix, and we can just reclaim the food as students and bring it back to the pantry, which is open later than after the grill or cafeteria closes.
Thank you very much. Second campaign, the Mini G Store.
Yes, that's correct. I'm Crystal. I'm also from Guilford College. So I was part of the same class as August. It was a 3-week. So basically what my group and I did, we did a small campaign on Mini G Store. August kind of gave a background story of like what our school with the food and stuff. So our purpose behind the Mini G Store is just creating like a mini like grocery store that's open 24 hours, 7 days a week for students, just because most of the students at Guilford are athletes. So sometimes we have late games or we come back from late games and there's really nothing to eat. And for most of us, some of us don't have transportation to drive off of campus, or some don't feel safe to drive off of campus like late times and stuff. So our idea was the Mini G Store that has like food and like groceries and stuff like that that students would be able to buy from. We have our Quaker card, which is like our ID to like enter buildings and stuff like that. So for safety reasons, we would scan into the room just so like they have monitor of like who's going in and who's coming out. And they would also use their Quaker cash, which is part of the swipe, to buy anything from there, because at the end of the year, some of us don't really eat a lot from the cafeteria because it's not healthy food, or sometimes we don't like what's there most of the time. And we have a lot of like the Quaker cash still left at the end of the school year. And that's basically just our money being thrown away. So this would just be another resource on campus that we would be able to use for students and even staff that live on campus, or just staff that are there on campus throughout the day and don't have time to go out.
Crystal, just one quick question. Maybe you mentioned it. Who was the target?
So the target would be basically the student athletes and just students in general and faculties and staff. Our main person who we would try and reach was the president of the school. And while we were doing our campaign, he did come out and we spoke to him about it and stuff. We showed him our demands, just being healthier, having more resources and stuff. So what the president told us was that once we have more of like an agreement of where we would want to place this on campus and stuff like that, we could go talk to him and see about the opportunities of doing this.
Fantastic. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
All right, Guilford Farmers Market.
My name is Mia, and I was part of the Guilford Farmers Market social campaign. And the reason we wanted to have this campaign was to address food insecurity on campus and around our community. So we established a farmers market on our campus within 3 weeks. I was also in a class with August and Crystal. And so my group, our demands were to have access to 75% of fresh local produce and to have a farmers market monthly on our campus so people in the community can have access to fresh and local foods, because a lot of people in our community only have access to cheap, unhealthy foods, and they support industrial farming. But by supporting our farmers market and local food systems, we're able to address food insecurity and inform people about healthy ways to eat, and just to teach everybody about local farming and how you can spend a small amount of money for healthy food. And then we also want to implement a farmers market that students can organize and also community members. And we had about 15 vendors that emailed us, and we had 4 vendors show up. We had a large farmers market. We had tabling, and we had flyers, and then on the bottom is the trifold I made too. And so we got a lot of students out there and staff, and we got so many compliments and people support, and they were like, we would love to help you do this next year. And our target is community members and the president of our college. And the solution that we've created is, well, we did have the farmers market, which was amazing, and it turned out perfect too. So our solution is to have this next year and to have more awareness of food insecurity and more awareness and more knowledge too around the community and our campus.
Fantastic. It's
Thank
amazing your 3 campaigns were started from scratch 3 weeks ago.
I know, one idea and it's there.
Yeah, fantastic. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Now, just so everybody knows that the last school, they were out of session. So we weren't able to get any of the Villanova folks to come, but we want to put their campaign material up. This is Fossil Free Villanova. They had an event with Bill McKibben and some other folks, which you can watch a short video. Another related group, but different, was Villanovans for Environmental Justice. And then as well, there's some of the presentation slides that I think would be interesting to everybody, because this is now language everybody's become familiar with. Target and demands. This is their presenting their campaign plan, the research they did, historical analysis, power mapping, target analysis, change theory model, a couple different approaches, campaign timeline. This is the kind of things they were involved in. And then a description of their target. And then over here were some photographs of the folks talking to the press, and here again talking to the press. So pretty great stuff from Villanova. Unfortunately, they weren't able to be with us. So let me pause there, and I'm going to turn it over to Scott.
Yeah,
and you can do the Q&A part with the students.
Before we do the Q&A with the students, I thought I'd just take a moment and for the faculty and the staff that are either have taught it or will teach it, coming. I thought just to ask, if you have any questions about the specific campaigns that you heard, maybe to ask those now, and then we'll talk more about, you have a chance to ask them about their learning experience, but there might be some specifics about questions about their campaigns. Is there any questions? And I don't know if you could see them all, Bobby.
Yeah, I'll pull them back up. Yep.
Yeah, people could raise your hand, you don't have to, I was just thinking of does anyone have any questions from the faculty and the staff or the students of even of the other campaigns? You might have questions.
August, go ahead.
I just had a question about the campaigns that worked with news and media. I was just wondering how you came about talking to different news stations, or how you reached out to get them to come and interview you for your campaign?
Hey, August, it's Raymond here. I was a media relations coordinator for our Students for Filipino Farm Workers. And one of the things we learned in the class and from the book is how to write a press release. And so I did a press release. I sent it out to the media. I got the media's contact information, the local and the greater Bay Area, probably about 60 reporters. I sent out an email on Friday about a week before the event, and then I followed up with them that following week on Monday and Tuesday, sent them emails again, started calling the assignment desk, and we kind of kept on them. And they were very welcoming and open to us as well. Their job is to report stuff, so they were, they let us know they were interested and they'd hope they could come. We ended up, I think, with about 3 news reporters at our event. So yeah, it's you write a press release, and that's something we learned in class. And I got a question for you guys since I'm here real quick. How did it go doing this in 3 weeks? Because we did a whole semester. We did about 3 months. So 3 weeks is good. Did you guys all get to meet your target, or did they, do you get your message out there quick enough?
Yeah, I mean, I can speak on that for my group. We had connections because we're a pretty small campus. So 2 people in our group were already working at the farm and volunteering. So they got to have like a 30-minute meeting with the assistant farm manager, who were completely on our side and agreed to harvest vegetables and fresh produce for the pantry next semester every other week. And I was able to email the head of our catering company on campus, and he said that he's willing to start the food reclamation program. So just reaching out and having those 30 minutes and talking about our campaign, both of them were on our side. So we were able to reach our demands and goals with that, which was really awesome.
Mia, do you want to add something?
Yes, I will say having the 3-week course was at first a little tedious, but then we pulled it off, and Zofia was a great help, my teacher. And by talking to the lowest ranking person at our school, we were able to get more connections and get an idea of where we should start at to talk to people. And then we reached out to local vendors and local artisans and businesses, and we got so much support from different people, and they were would love to help us and stuff. So we pulled it off within 3 weeks. And at first it was a little bit scary, and we were like, can we do this? But we did it. And I would say this was a good amount of time to show you how you can make a social change within a short amount of time. You can be 3 people and you can make a change.
Fantastic. Thank you. Felix, do you have a question?
Hi, more in form of a comment. This is just an amazing job by the students. Here at Benedict College, we're here in South Carolina under the auspices of our wonderful president, Dr. Rosalind Clark Artist, and my dean in School of Education, Health, and Human Services, Dr. Akila Carter Francique. In one of my courses, we do some similar things where we run a community-based participatory research, and we're in the community and partnering with community. When I talked about the collaboration, so we're doing some of those things in one of our classes with community, and we also have a food pantry here on campus. So just more form of a comment. This is some amazing work that you're doing, and to do it in so small amount of time is just amazing. So I just want to give you kudos and appreciate what you all are doing, and just excited to be a part of what you guys are doing and continuing this here in South Carolina. So just wanted to share that.
Thank you. And I just, so everybody knows, Keela is now a dean at Benedict College, but she was a faculty member at Scott's Institution of San Jose State, was part of our institute. And this is how big movements happen. You get inspired, you bring somebody else along, and that person brings somebody else along, and the math can grow pretty quickly. When you see Akila next, tell her that we have 50 faculty coming to our summer institute in a couple of weeks. 50.
Wow, I will see her tomorrow. I definitely will.
Okay, yeah, say hello for us.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Awesome. Anyone else with a question for the students? All right. No other questions. One might come to you, and you could ask it, because there'll be some time at the end. So I thought we spend a little bit of time just having the students reflect. We did a little bit of this in my last class at San Jose State. I should say, because Bobby asked me to say something about the two statues. If you see, you have the image there, Bobby? So
Yeah, I'll
people
pull it
see
back
the
up.
image?
Sure.
So it was my last day. As I said, I'm retiring. I'll be working on teaching social action, really helping faculty and staff rather than teaching students, but helping faculty and staff learn how to do the social action model. But this is our campus. This is the class that, you know, I think that's Cole's head there on the left. But if you look and right, that's Geraldine, that's you too, I think right there in the back of your head. But if you look at that image of, that's Tommy Smith and John Carlos. And those are two San Jose State athletes who in 1968, which might seem a long time to the students, but not that long for me. I was 9 years old and I'm from San Jose, and these were San Jose State students. So I was aware of what was happening, that they took this action and they raised their fists in Mexico City when they were on the Olympic stand as they accepted their medals. They raised their fists against racism, white supremacy, against poverty. They took off their shoes. And really, this is a symbol for student activism on our campus. So we do a walking tour, and for all the faculty, they're going to be in the institute and the staff. You know, that's one of the things that we'll talk about, is to learn, you know, to do a walking tour, whether it's on campus or in your community, because every campus, every community has had struggles around justice, around racial justice, around, you know, LGBTQ plus and the variety of issues. And we want to kind of bring light to those. And so we do a campus walking tour, but this is one of the highlights of the tour for sure. So students, maybe we could spend, you know, we're in my last class, you know, this could be this is the larger classroom, right? Is what did you all, you know, what did you learn from this experience? What was your greatest, you know, learning experience by having this social action class? You know, we'd like to hear from you. So anyone who's gone through it, please share so we could all hear from you about what was learned, what was the greatest learning that you had.
Go ahead, Cole.
Yeah, I'd like to share.
And Sarah.
I think it is really emboldened like my empathy, being able to really like get experience, not only just like through reading, but to be able to like experience things firsthand, to see how power operates, to see how different people come to conclusions, to have different conversations with people who may not have the dots aligned like you might think you do in your head, or you know, just facing yourself with tons of different perspectives in situations where you need to think quickly and to articulate yourself well, have really challenged me to be more empathetic. And it's challenged apathy that I once had in my mind towards a lot of social issues. And it's made me really a lot more emboldened, and I feel like it's made me feel more than I ever have, and just be really passionate about things and apply that to not only just like chasing social justice, but things in my own life. And it's a lot of the things we learn in class are things that are not only related to just like fighting for power structures, but just like being a good person. So I think it was really helpful in demonstrating that.
Thank you, Cole. Sarah.
I talked a little bit about this with Dr. Shorty and Dr. Gorman, who did our class at Maryville. But for all of the people who were in SLI, it was a personal issue for us. We were all queer students who saw these issues. One of our members actually got this idea from a Pride meeting where they were talking about resources on campus, and or the lack thereof in this case. And so it was very personal for us. And with such a small school, we have like about 1,000 students. It's sometimes hard to get involved, and it can feel very isolating in a weird way. Everybody knows your business. It's like it's all about politics. There's just so many ways to get involved, and yet it feels so difficult. And so for me, as someone who really enjoys activism but doesn't really want to step on any toes, this was a great way for me to get involved. It's personal. It's a personal passion for me, but it was also really a good way to connect to SGA, for example, the CDEI on our campus, Pride Club and LGBTQ plus Safe Space, the Counseling Center, all of these resources that I wouldn't have had a connection to before. And it was also really nice to understand that my community valued what I also value, because we've had some issues on campus before with, I don't know that I would call them hate crimes, but we even had some vandalism on one of our posters. People would mark out on our poster. So there's definitely a lot of hate rampant on campus, but We also got 137 signatures on our petitions. So it was really great to know that what I'm passionate about, what I care about, me and my identity are also important to people on campus.
Thank you so much.
Hi. I learned so many things. I really did. But I'd say probably one of the biggest things was the power dynamic. I realized that just because I'm one person, I have a loud voice, and my voice can change many different perspectives and different points of view. And also by just kind of listening and hearing different point of views and perspectives about certain issues makes me realize and like understand certain things that other people face and stuff. And the also the power dynamic, especially in a group and stuff too. It's good to have a leader, but it's also good to have work as a full group. The way my group worked was perfect, but I realized that the more you speak up, the more that gets done. And I would say, and my group is very passionate about it. Well, I have been wanting to do this for a while, so I feel like the more passionate you are about something, the more you're able to make it change, and just set your mind to it, and you can do it. Like this class has really empowered me to just go out in the world and do what I can to make a difference. And I am gonna make a difference in this world. That's what I am.
You are. Absolutely. And you have. Thank you so much. Angela.
I would say one of my biggest lessons from this has been kind of how close relation I have to the government, like local government, and also policy change. It might help that City Hall is like 2 blocks away from campus, but definitely like when I started the class, I kind of just felt like very far away. Like there was just so much in between me and local government that like I didn't understand, or that, it was just I didn't really feel a part of government, if that makes sense. But it's kind of like, as a citizen, you are an essential part of the government. And also being a sociology major, you kind of learn to observe society. And so I feel like this class really taught me that I can also shape society, and I'm also like a really vital part of it. And so that's what I'm taking away from this.
Awesome. Thank you, Angela. August.
Hello. I think for me, it's just working with community collaboration and guidance. Guidance in part of talking to our professor and reading the chapters that you wrote, and helping, like it was really interesting learning how to take action instead of just talking about it. In regards to collaboration, we learned more about like working with institutions instead of fighting against it. I mean, for our campaign, like partnering with the farm and the catering company for our cafeteria, like it was so fascinating that we were able to find time and work with the head of this organization. And just within 30 minutes, we were like, hey, this is what us students are going through. Do you think you can help out with us? And he totally agreed with the food reclamation process. And with the farm, it was just really quick to partner with them. And they've totally agreed to donate food every other week. So just within like meetings and talking and putting everything out on the table, just collaboration and community was just a really key aspects to our campaign.
Awesome. Babby or anyone else? I'm thinking of my students. I'm like Armando, Antonio. Do you have anything you want to add?
I think Raymond's raised his hand.
Oh, good. Raymond.
Hey, everybody. What I got out of the class is tools, right? It really empowers you. Is what you don't get this in a college class. You don't get to go out and actually do the action. That's usually what you do when you graduate, right? You go get a job and you're doing something. This class was awesome. Really taught me to be empowered, how much power I did have, how we could make change. But it gives you the tools and the step-by-step process, which was awesome, which you can use it throughout your life with different things. But his book that he wrote was like, it's like step by step of how do you have a march? How do you have a rally? How do you have group conversations within your own group? And when you add new people. So all these little tools and tidbits that you think you might know, like, oh, I can do that. It's very, just made me feel like very empowered, by taking the class. And I had no idea what I was getting into, but I'm glad I signed up. But I did learn a lot, and it was, it's just like something like I think we talked in class, this should be taught everywhere. It's a great way to, like, it's a really great way to learn. And I think our class, we did a really good job, and everyone really committed to it. So, yeah.
Thank you.
Awesome.
You got it.
Mark, you want to add it? I'm thinking of the people that taught it, Mark and Adrian and Zolfia. Because this is your first time teaching the social action model. How was it for you? And what did you learn as a faculty about your students, about education? And
yeah, hi, it's Mark. Thanks, Scott, for the opportunity. For me, it was something that, as someone who's maybe in the autumn of my career, I came in here with a little bit of a skeptical eye, but I'm transformed. This experience was wonderful as a teacher, to truly be, as you've taught us, to be the guidance side and let the students take over the classroom. That was just wonderful. And it happened just as you mentioned it would. And so that was just fun to see the great group of students we had in our class move forward with their programs and projects, and just hearing the conversations of the other students in the other colleges today. Yeah, your book works, your teaching works. And so I'm a convert. And so just thank you for that opportunity.
Awesome.
Nice.
And you want to add anything or?
Yeah, sure. I'll just say certainly, extremely pleased and impressed with listening to all the students here and talking about the programs and the things they've done. And, within 3-week time frame, or obviously in a regular 15-week semester, it's still just impressive to see students dive right in and, show a sense of engagement and passion and put aside fear to move forward with progress. And it's just really inspiring. And so I just want to say I'm super impressed with all the work that you all are doing at your institutions, and to continue to keep up that engagement. It's so important for everybody else. And so for me, it was more than anything, just a sort of a reminder of the fact that, change takes time, that many times it's messy and uneven, and there are setbacks in the process, and our students experience setbacks as well through that process. But I saw a level of resilience in their engagement that was inspiring. And so to continue to see them utilize that to move forward and stay focused on their goals was really exciting. And to come into the classroom each time when I got to hear what they were up to and their new progress and those sorts of things was certainly, it's a reminder of, whatever is sometimes on the page or on the, screen or other things is just a small fraction of what students learn when they're out there actually doing it. So it's just really a great experience for me.
Awesome. What about for the people that are about to, because Tatiana, and I'm just looking at the names above here, Obasesam, Lucia, Chalet, is it Chalet maybe, are about to do it, about to go through the
Scott, just before that, Zofia has raised her hand.
Good.
Yeah, hello everyone. I really loved the class because this was more about sharing power with students rather than giving power to students. And it was such a great democratic process. And I also loved how students inspired each other. And on the first day, like Mia came up with your idea with Farmers Market. August, I know August through Food Justice Club, and August came up with the Quaker food produce idea, and the other group came up with Mini G Store. And all of them had such a great element of food activism and passion. And the students made this class really really inspiring and also oriented towards change. So I truly appreciate this experience, and dittos goes to students as well as you folks who trained us and shared your work and materials as well.
Thank you.
I think Cole had their hand up. I saw that.
Yeah, it was just a slight comment, kind of like reflection. I think it was really cool, like Zofia said, kind of sharing power and growing power with students and making us feel like we are not outcasted as we are made to feel. But through one of our activities or our rallies, when we went to City Hall to address our targets in person, it was pretty disheartening seeing how power is not like we might be building power on campus, but off campus, the world is like kind of made to exclude those most affected and those who are going to inherit this system. So it was pretty disheartening seeing that, how like we were in a city council meeting talking with those who had the power to change something, talking about how they wanted to increase our exorbitant police budget to add in enough money so they could buy an attack helicopter when people in San Jose don't even have access to affordable rent. So it's really crazy, but it's really inspiring at the same time. Like, it's like, wow, these are the people making decisions? Okay, let me change that. So yeah, it's pretty eye-opening just seeing that happen firsthand. It's like, wow, somebody needs to say something, because if this keeps going on, can only get worse.
Great.
Scott, yes, I do have a question for students. If this would be a good moment. I was listening, and I take the time to listen. Actually, I'm joining you from Pittsburgh, and it's 9 or something p.m. in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. It's a little bit of a different time with where most of you are. It's fantastic to hear all the stories and what you have learned. And my question for students is, what would you recommend to students who have never done anything like this? What would be your recommendation for students who have never participated in social action campaigns and they don't see it as part of their classes, and that would be their first experience? What would be your recommendation for those students?
Geraldine?
Yeah, so I think somebody had mentioned it a little bit earlier, but it was also something that Professor Scott Myers-Lipton also told us at the beginning of the semester, was when choosing like a campaign to work on, you definitely have to make sure that it's something you're passionate about. I think that's the number one thing, because if you're not passionate about it, you're maybe not going to be as willing to put the work in, and it's just not going to derive from passion. It's just going to feel like work. Whereas you do something you're passionate about, you do everything for it. You're willing to do so much more. And I think the passion really shines through. So that would be like the first thing I would think of when, at least when choosing a campaign or just thinking about going into social action, is choosing something that is close to you or you're passionate about, because it'll definitely show through the work.
Like I said earlier, I feel like it was really important to break that little barrier of like apathy, or kind of like not quote unquote caring about something as much, or not thinking that change was possible for it. I think right off the bat, like first week of planning activities and engaging with other people towards our goal, I immediately saw like the power in just literally just talking to people, just talking different perspectives, just forcing myself out of that little barrier of, and just like one like flyering, simply a simple event as like tabling was enough to make me feel like, wow, like people are receptive to this and are listening. And when you provide them a better route to this and they see that you are doing something, a lot of people are really there to support you and engage with you. So I think it's just really important that people, because it's promoted through our culture and everything, people don't think that anything can change, and this is just the natural order of things. So once you see that momentum, it's really easy to break that barrier or that line of thought.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Isabella, and then Angela.
I think my biggest piece of advice to upcoming students for this course would just be like to not get discouraged, and that any small victory is still a success. And also, like, we were a small class, we only had 3 groups and each group was really small, but it was hard not to compare ourselves to each other in the group. Like every single class, me and my teammates, we would meet up and be like, oh my gosh, SLI, they already met up with this person, or Roar, they already did this, and we would feel behind. And then we would, next week we'd do a meeting and realize we had nothing to worry about. So, and I also agree with everybody that said to do something you're passionate about, because all 5 of us shared a passion for recycling, so that definitely put us at an advantage. But definitely like any step is still a step, no matter how small. So
Thank you. Angela? Yeah.
I'm sorry, y'all. I didn't want to interrupt, but I have to jump off, but I just enjoyed tonight. I put my info in the chat and I'm looking forward to this, you all.
Thank you.
All right.
You be well.
Y'all too. Thank you.
I know.
Yeah, I just wanted to, I think Cole was kind of mentioning it earlier, but I think it's really like actualizing your power on day one. And I think Professor Scott Myers really helped us to do that with like just the way that he was speaking to us. And, you know, from day one, it was like, I think one of the things that he says, or one of your mottos is ready, go, set. So it's like, you just go like from day one, like, you know, you're sitting down, you're making decisions, you're having those conversations, and those conversations can just really go any direction you want them to. And so, yeah, just, you know, it's not like you're sitting there and planning and waiting for change. It's like, it's, you know, you're making it happen, and you're having those conversations, and you're doing the dirty work, and you're doing that in between work that actually, you know, makes action and then makes noise. So yeah, I think just like realizing your power early on.
Thank you. Mia? Well, go ahead, Mia.
I would say the same about the power. I remember the first days Sophia was like, just because you're students doesn't mean you don't have a voice. And we definitely expressed that with the farmers market and I mean all the campaigns in my class. We also had 3 groups and we had 3 weeks to do it. And we used our voice to get out there and show other students that we have power and to not be scared to use your voice. Because I know a lot of kids do get discouraged if someone says no to them, but you can't let them say no. You can't. That's how they overpower you. But yeah, just realizing that like we can make a difference just because we're students doesn't mean like that we can't. But yeah, that and just having a good group that's motivated and passionate about the same thing, and then also having good group dynamics and a good leader, that's also probably something I would definitely suggest for future students. And then also having an idea that you know that you can complete, or that is accessible to complete in the future for future students or for yourself, and not like an outrageous goal or something. But yeah, just definitely being passionate and knowing your power and your stance where you are in your campaign.
Thank you very much. There was one other question that was typed in the chat from Kate. What do you think the ideal number of group members is? Like, what's the best number? Is there a best number? Maybe Scott, you could answer that question because you've got the most experience.
Of a group, well, I've had anywhere from 3 to 36. So I would say the best number for a class is 18, 16. I know that, but we don't have that luxury at the state institution I'm at. It's usually 27 or 30. It is a challenge, I would just say, for the newer faculty who are about to teach this or thinking or, you know, preparing to have. We literally had 5 campaigns in my class. So to help 5 separate campaigns pull off campaign actions is a challenge. And I joked to them at the beginning, if they all 5 do it, then I get an A. You know, that they do an action where they publicly display their power with the media there and the target nearby, then that's what we're shooting for, that they get that experience, that they get the chance to experience their power and direct it toward the target. So it can happen. It takes a lot of juggling. So we'll talk about that in the Institute. The mural board helps keep it, but it's a challenge. So, but I think you know, if you have 5 or at least 3 is hard because it's so few. 5 or 6, I think the Filipino farm worker group, that was powerful. You had like 9. It's nice to have a lot, you know, that energy. Cole, your group was 3 or 4, more of a challenge, but you still did a lot. As I think Mia said, you can actually do a lot with 3 dedicated people.
It's wonderful.
So inspiring. Oh my gosh, particularly the students. Faculty, you're inspiring too, but really the students are where it's at. As Cole said, you are the change we've been waiting for. You know, we're the change. Barack said it, I just quoted him. As you know, our democracy's in trouble. So we need all hands on deck to save our democracy. And there's some tools in the book to help save it. So anything I can do, I've given you my email. I'm totally available to students, of course, and to the staff and faculty. Reach out to me. And I look forward to building that world we all dream about. We're all included.
Thank you, everybody. Have a
Thank
great
you.
night.